Ripple just bought its way into 13,000 banks all in one move with a $1 billion acquisition of GTreasury. This is the platform that Fortune 500 CFOs utilize to manage trillions in liquidity. This isn't about speculation. This is about Ripple quite loudly stepping into the core infrastructure of global finance. But that's not the whole story, because today it's not only about Ripple, although we're going to be focusing on that primarily. BlackRock just announced they're converting their treasury funds to hold stablecoin reserves. Hedera is rolling out digital identity across smart cities in the UAE and Middle East. And the XDC network just launched an ETP on Euronext Amsterdam. This is the world's financial architecture being rewritten every second of every single day in real time. And Ripple just inserted themselves at the very center of all of it. So on October 16th, 2025, Ripple announced a $1 billion move into corporate treasury with the GTreasury acquisition. The global leader in treasury management systems, you can see from their website here, GTreasury connects to 13,000 banking entities through SWIFT, serving clients in 160 countries. That means Ripple now sits inside the same network that moves trillions every single day. As Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse put it, Ripple and GTreasury together bring the best of both worlds. So finance teams can put trapped capital to work and process payments instantly. This gives Ripple instant exposure to the $120 trillion corporate payments markets, where trillions in cash sit idle, waiting days sometimes for clearance. For decades, corporates and treasuries, banks, everybody else have relied on SWIFT for messaging, not movement. SWIFT sends the signal, but not the money. Now, Ripple changes that equation by embedding digital asset infrastructure directly into GTreasury systems. Financial teams can now move capital 24/7 across borders at near zero cost. This isn't theory, this is infrastructure. Now, this is kind of Ripple's original payments use case scaled to the enterprise level. And also, it's pretty interesting because through Ripple's acquisitions like Hidden Road, CFOs will soon be able to earn yield on short-term assets, access repo markets instantly, and manage tokenized deposits, all within GTreasury's dashboard. At the core of all of these announcements recently sits RLUSD, or Ripple USD. Ripple's regulated stablecoin launched on the Ethereum and XRP ledger. Why both ecosystems? Because Ripple is very obviously building out for a multi-chain future at this point in time, let alone the EVM sidechain, everything else, which we aren't diving into today. You can watch other videos on that. But Ripple USD, the stablecoin, essentially bridges the gap between compliance and liquidity. On Ethereum, it can reach out into DeFi and smart contracts. On the XRP ledger, it moves instantly, settles final, and costs only a fraction of a cent. Kind of the best of both ecosystems, one for interoperability and one for speed. Beneath this layer, the entire layer of the XRP ledger sits XRP, which is, for years kind of deemed the neutral bridge asset optimized for settlement. Now, as stablecoins certainly eat some of that lunch, that doesn't mean that XRP isn't highly liquid and doesn't have a lot of utility. Ripple hasn't confirmed how XRP can or will integrate into GTreasury, this $1 billion acquisition corporate treasury platform. However, if institutions need to rebalance global liquidity in real time, XRP may be the natural engine to do so. This isn't hype, this is logic. Ripple has spent years alongside with other builders in the ecosystem building out utility, liquidity, all of the other things along with that for XRP itself. What's very interesting here is Ripple's kind of overall overarching master game plan that is very apparently happening over the past 12 to 18 to 24 months. GTreasury is not a one-off. It's one of the final puzzle pieces. Ripple has spent the last 18 months assembling what now looks to be the first institutional operating system for digital money. Let's go back to Hidden Road. So $1.25 billion acquisition, prime brokerage and multi-asset clearing. Then we go to Rail, $200 million acquisition, automated stablecoin and payments infrastructure, or Metaco, however you want to pronounce it. Custody and tokenization platform for institutions, standard custody and trust, regulated custodian for Ripple USD reserves, Algorithm, market making and liquidity engineering talent. And you add GTreasury on top today, this $1 billion acquisition, and Ripple now owns the interface that connects corporates, banks, and digital assets all under one roof. This isn't crypto adoption. This is the slow merging of the traditional, and as we mentioned multiple times on this channel, the digital tokenized new system that is very obviously being built. Now, the timing couldn't be clearer. While Ripple builds the rails, the rest of finance is already loading the trains. BlackRock, as we can see here, transforming money market fund to support stablecoin reserves. Yes, that's the BlackRock that everybody knows, pretty much the entity that controls the world. They've transformed their select treasury liquidity fund into a Genius Act compliant stablecoin reserve vehicle. This aligns with a $1 trillion cash management arm, the next step in merging regulated money markets with on-chain dollars. And in the UAE, we have BIA Group. This is one of the largest sustainability companies in the entire UAE and Middle East, and absolutely massive. I did an interview with these guys a handful of months ago, and you can go down here and check some of the short clips that came out of this as well. But essentially, this is ID Trust, a Hedera-powered digital identity platform designed for enterprise and smart city integration, giving assets, objects, citizens, employees, whatever it may be, decentralized, verifiable, private credentials. I know there's a lot of hesitancy around digital ID, but at the end of the day, for those that kind of have been in this space for a while, we talk about the tokenization of everything. It's just happening, whether people like it or not. If it's done correctly, you know, all of these assets need to come on chain. They all need identities, and hopefully it removes some of the pain points that we currently have where, let's say you have to go to a new doctor or a new pharmacy or whatever, you have to give them their, you know, your social security number every single new entity that you go to. So there are some positives here as well. Now, XDC Network also announced that they're celebrating their ETP listing on Euronext Amsterdam. This is opening regulated access to tokenized trade finance for European investors. Now, I should mention ETPs across Europe are widespread at this point in time. I know that they're, you know, pick an ecosystem, you can probably find an ETP out there, but more and more financial products, as we've talked about on this channel, more and more, we're just going to see this over and over again. I know the US is behind and we're waiting for these, you know, crypto ETFs and everything else, but it's coming. It's just a matter of time. Bitcoin kind of got us through the door, waiting for the floodgate to kind of happen across the board with all these other assets as well. And a reminder of how early this transition is, saw this today. PayPal's crypto partner mints a whopping $300 trillion worth of stablecoins in a, quote, technical error. So this is Paxos accidentally minting $300 trillion in PayPal USD or PYUSD in a technical error before burning the stablecoins, proving that even the giants are still stress testing digital money at scale. So across every sector, payments, identity, liquidity, and settlement, the shift is happening in plain sight. Ripple didn't just buy a company today. They bought another connection point between the legacy banking system and the digital asset economy. Think about Ripple USD for stability or for customer options, whatever it may be, even for lack of regulatory clarity. I mean, I think we all have seen that stable coins are very obviously getting across the board first. And then maybe XRP for speed or deep liquidity or last mile, whatever it may be. And then GTreasury just adds another kind of aspect of scale into this, another cog in Ripple's behemoth wheel of digital asset kind of takeover of the traditional system. So again, as I've been mentioning all week, this isn't about price. This is about infrastructure right now and about power. This is a land grab across the board. And it's really about how we can kind of merge the traditional and the digital financial systems that we are all so familiar with on this channel. The financial system isn't preparing to go digital. That already happened. And the world's largest players, from Ripple to BlackRock to Hedera to pick another name, I'm sure there's multiple announcements today that I missed, are quietly laying the foundations beneath it. Like and subscribe to this channel for the next breakdown on how these rails connect and how the tokenized economy is being built right under our feet. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I've been trying to keep these to around 10 minutes or less. I'm trying to automate some of this stuff as well. You may see some changes to this channel in the near future for how the content's laid out, but I hope that I'm still doing a good job at presenting it, researching it, and all of that other jazz. Yeah. And if you guys have comments or suggestions, please drop them below. I appreciate every single one of you. It is wild to watch what's happening with Ripple. It's wild to watch. And obviously they have a war chest of capital. And at the end of the day, you know, I do think that Ripple ends up getting a bad rap a lot of the time in this space. They've driven so much adoption. Even if you look at the SEC case and all that other stuff, that's like headwinds for the entire blockchain space that getting through. So, you know, it takes some people, maybe they're the polarizing bad guys to some, but I think we need to step back and realize what they're actually doing. Same thing with Hedera. I mean, look at Hedera with all the ESG stuff going on in the UAE, in the Middle East. I mean, you could really take any of these ecosystems, and they're all doing so much work for adoption. And I know I only cover a handful. I know I've given disclaimers. Genfinity works with a lot of these ecosystems. We don't work with Ripple. So all the Ripple XRP content I do is purely because I'm still interested in what Ripple's doing. I still believe XRP has utility. I still hold a lot of the XRP I've had for a while. I might not have as much as a lot of you, but I still, I'm fascinated about this space. I really do think that this space is taking over, and we're going to start really seeing kind of a convergence here. Oh, before I let you guys go, we also did a podcast today with Ben Jorgensen, CEO of Constellation. This is a sponsored podcast from Genfinity, so make sure you're doing your own due diligence. I'll give Ben and the Constellation team a shout out. And this isn't nothing about price or digital asset wise or anything, but from a tech standpoint and an innovation standpoint, this is one of the guys, and he has one of the teams that they've certainly went out on a branch and tried to innovate and kind of go against the grain in crypto. This is a good interview. We talk a lot about that in this interview, kind of disrupting the status quo, not seeing more of the same over and over again for crypto. And because we do, I mean, once you've been in crypto for a while, you start realizing after like at least a handful of years, and everybody makes mistakes. I've made tons of mistakes. I've trusted things I shouldn't trust, and have learned from those lessons and have tried to be as transparent as possible the whole time. But you'll make mistakes if you're here. But you start realizing after you've been in crypto for a handful of years that it's like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in crypto and not real things going on, just like probably every industry. But at the end of the day, like I think really, you see these like really highly innovative people that are certainly driving the traction that is going on institutionally and everything else. But yeah, it's just cool. I love this discussions around disrupting the status quo because you guys know my thought process. All this stuff converges. Artificial intelligence converges with blockchain, converges with Internet of Things and smart appliances and device. I think that all this stuff is going to come together. Quantum, it's just kind of a matter of time. Anyways, I rambled too long. I went over 10 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you. Thanks. Bye.